Hey everyone, and welcome back to HipHopnoise. Today we're going to be talking about the lyrics that put rappers behind bars. Over the course of the past decade or so, it's become increasingly common to see rappers having their own lyrics used against them in court. One of the first instances of this happening was all the way back in 1994, when prosecutors played Snoop Dogg's song "Murder Was the Case" during his murder trial. They did this in order to make Snoop look like a murderer, because if he's rapping about it, he must be doing it, right? Well, luckily for us, the prosecution strategy didn't work, and we were able to continue enjoying Snoop Dogg's music to this day. But this strategy is still being used to this day, but it raises an interesting question about whether or not a rapper's lyrics should be admissible as evidence, or are they just an artist's creation and nothing to do with reality? And what does this mean for the future of rap? One of the better known cases of a rapper's lyrics being used against him in court was a case of Bobby Shmurda and hip-hop collective GS9. And this is a really interesting one, because it turns out that the police had been keeping watch on GS9 for a while before Bobby Shmurda's song, Hot Boy, became popular. They apparently had their phones tapped and even used Shmurda's songs to determine who GS9 was beefing and what was really going on down on the streets. An NYPD officer explained that the songs were like a real-life document of what they were doing on the street. But Bobby got lucky on this one, because at around the same time as this was going on, the New Jersey Supreme Court ruled rap lyrics as admissible evidence because they contain an undeniable connection to the crime at hand. So, although the police were able to use these lyrics to keep track of some activity on the streets, they won't be able to actually use them as evidence against Bobby. Just 3 years after GS9 was charged, another case took place in Texas. This case involved the rapper Tay K and his song, The Race. While on house arrest, awaiting his trial for murder charges and robbery, Tay K actually cut off his ankle monitor and made the song while on the run. Isn't that crazy? He actually filmed the music video while on the run and bragged about it in the song. So, of course, in this case, the prosecutors had all the evidence they needed to send him to prison for 55 years. This is a good example of when song lyrics can be used effectively by the prosecution. They were able to show that not only did Tay K admit to committing murder, he was also bragging about it. He didn't feel any remorse and tried to escape his punishment for the crime. In the song, he's proud of what he did, and he's now been charged with a second murder. Things aren't looking too good for Tay K, and making that song certainly didn't help. What's interesting though is that Tay K pled guilty to the home invasion and robbery charges, but pled not guilty to the murder charge. He explained that murder was never their intention, and that he wasn't the one who actually killed the victim, Ethan Walker. He was just there when it happened. But thanks to Tay K's attitude in the song, the jury was not convinced, and he was sentenced to 55 years in jail. Was it really worth it? And while Tay K probably would have been convicted even without the lyrics, it certainly set a precedent that a rapper's music can be used against him in court. And we're seeing this again with YNW Melly, who was arrested in February of 2019 and charged with 2 counts of murder. YNW Melly allegedly murdered his 2 friends YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser. Police claim he shot them with another friend, YNW Bolyan, and tried to make the whole thing look like a drive-by shooting. According to the rapper's lawyers, it appears as though the prosecution is thinking about using Melly's own song, Murder on My Mind, against him. This is a track that made YNW Melly famous. The problem is that the song details Melly murdering a friend and holding him in his arms as he dies. Doesn't look too good, right? Well, there's a twist. This song was actually written back in 2016 before the shooting actually happened. Not only that, but these lyrics have been used against Melly before during a different probation hearing. One of the verses was read out loud in the courtroom. While it's unclear whether YNW Melly is truly guilty of this crime, murdering his own friends, and another murder he's been accused of, the shooting of Sheriff Department Deputy Gary Chambliss, we don't have all the evidence. Using lyrics from these songs would probably be a mistake. It's clear that these lyrics don't actually relate to these specific murders, and could only be used to paint a negative picture of Melly in order to convince a jury he's guilty. If he's going to be convicted, it should be on strong evidence, not a rap song. Unfortunately, this could set a bad precedent, and others in the future may be wrongly convicted of crimes they didn't commit simply because they chose to present themselves in a certain way in their songs. It's no secret that a lot of hip-hop focuses on crime, and sometimes even murder, but that doesn't mean all rappers are murderers, it's just part of the culture. What do you think the future is going to look like for rappers? Should prosecutors be allowed to use song lyrics as evidence against a rapper? Let us know in the comments. And while you were here, go ahead and click one of these 2 videos on your screen. See you there.